Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here with a quick Dawson's Rambles, not a quick one. I feel like I'm doing these so often now because news just keeps hitting that's worth talking about. But this news I just couldn't resist talking about. Sorry the lighting's a little dimmer than usual. It's really dark and stormy out and I try to record these during the day when the lighting's better, but I wanted to get this out while the news was fresh. But so the big news is that after 20 plus years, Bandai and Power Rangers are parting ways, which is huge news on multiple fronts because, I mean, it's obviously right now, in the here and now, there's been a lot of vocal complaints from us fans of the quality and the handling of Power Rangers. Definitely in recent years, like I would say probably in the last 8 years it's gotten worse, but in the last 8 months even, I think it's hit a peak. So it's huge news for that. I mean, and it's just huge news period because Bandai has been the primary toy merchandise provider for Power Rangers since it came out. I mean, of course, we have occasional little third-party things like Funko Pops and all that nonsense, but like this has been like the main manufacturer. So that's huge news. That's a huge change for the franchise in general, but it's especially huge because of recently. And, you know, with a lot of the complaints, I agree with a lot of the ones that have been brought up in recent months. But like some of them I think were kind of ridiculous, like not ridiculous, but I think were overblown. Like I honestly think their Zords were fine, considering they're like 1/3 the cost of retail, roughly 1/3 the cost of a retail Sentai Robo, and it's just not feasible to ask parents in our economy to buy a $60, $70 Sentai robot and the $20 alternative, $25 alternative we have, or 30, I don't know, it's like somewhere in that range depending, but is honestly fine. I think the Ninja Steel morphers have been weak offerings, but before that I think the morphers haven't been too bad. And I think that the main action hero line has been good. I haven't had too many problems with that outside of, you know, here and there little nitpicks, but there's definitely been some mishandling in the Legacy collection. You know, there has been some really cool stuff in it, but, you know, there's the constant staying in MMPR. But of course, most recently is the Legacy figures. You know, we all know this. I feel at least 2 videos on this. The quality of the figures, the lack of paint, the misrepresentation of it, the excuses about that for some reason they can't handle putting out a figure line at a similar price point as others. So yeah, this is huge news. Apparently the deal, like they have the contract through, or the contract expires or whatever, April 2019. I don't know what that means. I think that my biggest question about this is what this means for the holiday season, because usually, like what I would personally consider the biggest time for a Power Rangers line is the holiday season. That's when the new season toys hit shelves. You get the figures, the morphers, the Megazord, all kinds of extra little stuff. Usually most of us fans know that it hits right around Black Friday. Usually the stuff starts being spotted a week or 2 before Black Friday, and that's, you know, a big thing. I'm really curious what that means, because like the thing I read says they're going to continue supporting what remaining they have of Legacy stuff and Super Steel. But I don't know like what this means for that. Are we going to possibly get a small amount of Power Rangers 2019 season stuff in the fall? I feel like I kind of doubt it, because why would they go through that trouble if they're going to be parting ways? But they could have already started work on it. I kind of almost hope, like if it's Q Ranger, I think a line of figures and a Megazord and a Morpher would be a nice little swan song for them, and I just like having those toys to look forward to. Like honestly, PR's been so dull lately on all fronts. The thing that I look forward to most is the fresh new figures and stuff. I'm not talking about the Super Season stuff, because outside of Super Megaforce, which was actually new suits, the actual new season debut stuff, you know, like, so I was looking forward to that. So I'm not sure what that means. I feel like, because I'm not sure how all that scheduling works or what they're thinking, because presuming that Power Rangers 2019 premieres around February-ish like usual, I could very well see them holding off and starting with the next company. Speaking of, the second point of that is there's already rumors, of course, of who they're going to go to, and one of the big ones is Hasbro. It's funny, when I first read the news before I read the rumor of Hasbro, I was thinking about Playmates, because they just recently got Ben 10, and you wouldn't think it, but the Ben 10 toys are actually pretty good quality. Like the figures are all well painted. And then of course, you know, we also have Voltron stuff that's very well done, but I think Hasbro could be a good fit. I'm kind of unfamiliar with how the release schedule works, because that's tying back into the holiday stuff, I'm kind of curious what the release schedule would be like, because being a collector and then now a reviewer, I'm very used to a specific type of release schedule. I mean, in the recent years, it's been kind of erratic. Like, after the initial holiday release, it's kind of random, like hard to find stuff even that shouldn't be hard to find. The distribution's been all over the place, but I only kind of casually collect Transformers, so the only thing I do know is that for stuff like the movie or a new series, they usually have like an event, like, oh, a street date event, and you start seeing them leak out, and then, so like there's that. So I think that could be cool, to have more of an almost full-on street date if that's possible. But maybe like those of you that follow that more closely can let me know in the comments. I'm kind of curious how their distribution is in terms of filtering it throughout the year. I think it's pretty decent, because I know a few Transformers collectors that are, you know, always like, hey, the new stuff's out. But I'm just curious because, like, I know like the Ben 10 Playmate stuff is much different than Bandai's, where Bandai's would be kind of like Power Rangers, like every 2-3 months you'd start to see stuff sprinkle out. But Playmates has been like, here's all the Ben 10 stuff, and then like 5 months later, here's like 2 things, and then we don't know what's coming next. So I'm really curious. I'm mostly hopeful. I think in one way it's kind of sad, because again, I'm not entirely as anti-Bandai of America as people are. I think a lot of the expectations people had for the mainline stuff was too much. Like, I think the Megazords were fine, but I think the bike figures were absolutely a crime. Like, I can't even believe they got away with that for like almost 10 years. And the handling of the Power Stars was also just awful. So I definitely think that they really hit a low point in a lot of ways. But I'm definitely curious for the future. I think that this is mostly good news. You know, we got renewal news about Nick, which, you know, setting aside any of that, but then we got this news that there is going to be some sort of new life breathed into it. I'm not expecting like, oh, the show's going to be better now because of this. I just mean that they're breathing a little bit life into it in some way. So I'm excited to see what this means. I'm definitely curious what this means for the release schedule, but I think this could mean some better quality toys. This could mean some shakeups in the way we get things. I'm very curious. I just hope that this doesn't hit the reset button on MMPR stuff. Like, we're just now getting to Zeo releases up and coming, hopefully still, for Bandai stuff. So I'm just hoping that this doesn't mean, for whatever Hasbro or whatever who is doing it, I just hope that doesn't mean that whatever they're doing in the form of old season stuff resets back to it, because this will be the true test to see like how equally Bandai and Saban were digging into MMPR. I think it was pretty equal, but that would be a disappointing aspect if one, like for example, Hasbro comes out and we have Power Rangers 2019's line, and then you have some sort of legacy line, and it's like back to MMPR Season 1. But I definitely hope we get a few of those releases promised. Like, I want to see the Green Ranger helmet, I want to see the Zeonizer, and the Gold Power Staff. I could care less about those Zeo crystals. Not the crystals, the gems that were... I mean, I'll pick them up if we get them, but if those get canceled in transition, I won't be too mad. The Legacy figures is kind of funny, because honestly, I always kind of assumed we would never finish that, and they would get canceled one way or the other. I still like to collect them because I like to own, like, the history of it. Like, I think it's fascinating to look back at the collection of, like, oh, this is how their approach evolved. But so I'll probably collect whatever comes out that I can find. There's definitely a few that have been announced / seem in production that I would like to see released before the transition, like White Dino Thunder, the Psycho Rangers, stuff like that. But I honestly, like I said, I assumed that this line would eventually be canceled, be transitioned into something else, but I never thought it would be because Bandai and Saban were parting ways. I thought it would just be like a, you know, the Super Legends line, like those six-ish inch RPM and Green Ranger figures that just nothing ever had. I thought it would go the way of that. So yeah, very interesting stuff. If there's any other news, official announcements or anything, I will do another video for it, but this was just too big of a news story, especially with all the talk that's been going on recently, to not touch on. Anyway, that's about it. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Awesome Rider, signing out.